It's gone. What's going on, everybody? It's me and Rich Dog. I got a cold. I'll put that out there right away. So bear with me with the cough drops and water. Before we say anything, make sure you watch episode 1 and 2 of season 6 of Survivor Wisconsin One World before you watch this, because it's gonna be some spoilers and some, diving into this episode that just aired. We won't reveal any spoilers of what goes on next, obviously, because we know. So, yeah, let's dive into it, Richie. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Devin?
Could be better.
Well, we'll definitely talk about parts of that, of the why for that for the episode. Because obviously, like I teased in last week's episode, there was a lot of big surprises that came in tonight's episode. Unless something else big you really want to say, I think we could just dive right on in.
Yeah, I'll save my comments for when we get to that point. I mean, we can just start kind of going through the episode. It was a shorter one, 30 minutes, but I think it was definitely a dramatic one. So you want to kick off kind of where it started off with kind of talking about the vote off of Alejandro, right? And then just kind of everyone kind of just talking about what they think was coming up soon.
Yeah, so I think Alejandro's vote off definitely had a big impact, as he was constantly mentioned throughout the episode. A lot of chaos involving him, where we kind of leave off where he is voted off. He's on the edge of extinction now, and now everyone else is kind of like wondering, like, what the hell just happened, i.e. Julia, Caitlyn, and Abby, if I recall correctly. I think we're the only ones who did not vote off Alejandro, as Miranda flipped on them. And so the three girls are just kind of curious what happened. And it was a lot of very interesting talks we did get throughout the episode. Specifically at the start, where I do remember it was kind of an overall bigger clump. I don't remember every single person I was in it, but I do remember you were in there. Matt was in there, I believe. Colin and Julia, I believe, were in there. Talking about a lot of fun stuff. If you want to go over some other stuff you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of just, Colin was kind of, they were saying, oh, I kind of wish we were in tribes. Obviously, when you have 10 people, it's hard to do that. Did that in Cabin Fever. Did Redemption Island, so it was a little bit different. So they're kind of like, oh, maybe we will go to tribes. Maybe it'll be reversed order of how it normally goes, where you start in tribes, then you go to merge. So that we kind of talked about that, and then, and then you kind of heard Sam talking to Abby a little bit about my name and Colin, just kind of saying like, yeah, look at them, they're right by each other at that last tribal talking. I did at that tribal kind of tell Colin that Matt had an idol, that first one that he played. He said, oh, I thought it was an extra vote. I said, no, he was lying. It's an idol. So Sam was kind of putting hints into Abby a little bit, like, yeah, watch out for them, kind of thing. And then Sam, just great player, just comes over and just goes, yeah, that was the plan, right? We went as we wanted, right, for Alejandro. I'm like, yep.
Right. And I will say for Dolphin Sam, I think that is definitely one of his best attributes in the game, is that, and we've seen this in past seasons too with him, is that he's able to kind of say and do whatever he needs to and getting everyone's good graces. Like, I think he really is a great social player in that aspect. And no matter what happens, he's able to get in everyone's good graces. So, I mean, the fact that Sam literally just started trying to put a target on you and Colin, and then literally seconds later goes up to you and Colin, and they're all like, that's what we wanted, right? That's the plan, right? Like, I thought that was a little like bit of like a little funny in some ironic way, but like it was also kind of like a great indicator of like why he is a former winner at this point. So
yeah, for sure. It was. I think that was kind of it right before the challenge. I don't think anything else.
I believe that was mostly. Oh wait, no, because then there was Matt bragging about his idol thing. It's a season of Matt. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, and then I know there was one point there was a clip of something about like him something about like some oatmeal coffee or something. I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
I think Alex filmed that scene. He thought that was the fun. I do have to give shout out to Alex. He filmed that scene and he thought it was the funniest thing ever. My dumbass could not understand what Matt was saying the first like 5 times Alex showed me that clip. And I'm like, after the 4th or 5th time, I'm looking at Alex, where I'm like, what the hell is he even saying? Because like,
That's why I put those subtitles in it.
it was definitely funny. It's definitely not the first time, nor will be the last time. I probably will mishear something, but I just thought that was like funny that was in there because I just remember just how Alex thought that was the funniest clip ever. So
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously, like right before the match, saying like, "Yeah, votes coming my way. I got people on my side though. This is my season. Everyone else is puppets." It's kind of funny how he was just doing it right around everybody. Like no one. I mean, it's not like anyone probably really even knew what he was talking about, but it's just funny he didn't care at all.
Right. Well, it almost reminds me of like Russell Hantz and like Survivor Samoa, where he's literally saying this random stuff in front of like everyone. He's like looking for idols in front of everyone. He's doing all this left and right, and you almost start to think like, is that what he's going to be doing in the game, or is he just going to fall out really early? You could think, is he going to be Redemption Island Russell Hantz, or is he going to be Samoan Heroes versus Villains Russell Hantz? We have yet to see. But I definitely kind of saw that those comparisons to that more and more in the episode, and I'm like, this is really interesting. So
yeah, I could see it a little bit for sure. Yeah, definitely not afraid to speak his mind, like in front of people or behind the camera. So then we kind of dive into the challenge, right? I think that's the last thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to dive into that, since I'm guessing you probably more than Christian maybe came up with that one.
I did actually. And a fun fact about this challenge, I'll explain the challenge first, and then I'll say some fun stuff about the challenge. So the challenge was everyone has to stand on one foot. They'll hold a solo cup in their hand. At random intervals, I'll give them a playing card, or I'll give them another cup to put on top. And they have to stack it on top of each other. They can't stack it within their current stack. If their stack falls or their foot falls, they're out. Last one standing wins individual immunity. All transitions were live as well, meaning that if your stack fell as you're putting another cup or card on your stack, you're out. And I will say a couple of fun facts about this. This was a challenge that I did in Survivor SNC. We did it once, and it was a really fun challenge. I will say it lasted a lot longer than some of y'all did. No shame to you guys, because I think when I tested out that challenge, I forgot how far I did, because I
had sore calves that day too, so.
Yeah, okay, Devin, sure.
I did. I actually did, but I'm not a great balancer. So
I will say you did better than my Redemption Island duel in Cabin Fever. I will always give you that one.
Yeah.
And no one can do worse than I did in that one.
Yeah, but you weren't in the best state of mind. It is what it is. It's all good.
I mean, I'm not. I can't make that joke. We're live.
Yeah, probably not.
No. So jokes aside, Wisconsin won. Jokes aside, the biggest thing though is that for a lot of the challenges I did in Survivor SNC, such as this one, I tried to like test some of these challenges out to see if like, hey, is it really as hard as I think it is? And I'm talking about like way back in the day when I was doing the Survivor SNC stuff. I would try to test out a lot of the challenges, or at least try to play it out in my mind, or try to get like a second opinion from someone to think like, is this really as hard as I think it is, or is it too easy? Because obviously I want it to be easy enough to where it's practical to actually do, but not so difficult that it's completely like impossible to do. So I was trying to find that little balance. I really would say the only difference between the one time I did do a set Survivor SNC and doing it in One World in Wisconsin is that I think I kind of gave them the option that they could hold that first cup however they wanted, but then seeing how it could be a little difficult to like hold it up in certain ways, I recommend people, I actually have a cup right here. I had paintbrushes in it. You could basically I'd recommended them to hold the cup like this. So to maybe make it a little easier to put like a card or another cup on top of it. So, I will say, I did think it was kind of funny that a third of the remaining players in the group pretty much dropped in less than a minute. And I was just like, I think I remember looking over and thinking like, damn, I didn't think this was that hard to do. I mean, it might be harder with sore calves. I don't know. But
If you're not good at balancing, then obviously like you could be
Right.
done pretty quick.
I still like off topic balancing challenges. I still don't know how I did the one of fans versus favorites. I still am shocked I did that.
Adrenaline.
And pure spite because I knew they were going for me. Go Sam, go! Thanks, Corey. Shout out to Corey. Okay, back to the topic. Yeah, and I think the funniest part in the challenge was probably Matt like losing challenges, like throws it down and like just and just like he's just getting so upset, and I don't know why. I just found that really funny. He's like, "Fuck, Richie," and I'm like, okay, wow, thanks, Matt. Okay. I even think this does follow through like in later events before the vote too. But we do end up getting to Colin winning in a very close battle against Miranda, which I did think was kind of funny. So yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a comment on that. Seeing how things played out, I have one critique of the challenge, and I know it was kind of on Miranda's fault, but and you guys, I think Christian could have just helped you with this too. Is I think if you guys made them like get the cup at the exact same time, and they had to like place at the exact same time, because I know you guys said 10 seconds. Miranda did it right away. Colin waited the 10 seconds. Miranda dropped it before he even like waited the 10 seconds kind of thing. So obviously the way things played out makes me think, oh, kind of wish maybe, who knows. But Colin was looking pretty damn good the whole time, so I don't think he would have lost. I like the challenge. That's my only critique, I would say, is just
that last part.
Well, that and just like when everybody was like, when you guys were handing out the cups, I think everyone should have got the exact same time and had to do it the exact same time versus just because they got it before the next person, like, so they're out, you know what I mean, kind of thing. That's the only thing I would critique, just to be a little nitpicky. But it was a cool challenge. I liked it. Obviously not suited for me or Abby, obviously, but it definitely was a good battle at the end between Miranda and Colin. Julia looked really good when I was there watching him. Like, I thought for sure she was going to win. Now I know where that cup just flipped at her, so guess it wasn't her day for that challenge.
Right, and a couple of things I did want to also mention with this challenge is that I actually just remembered there were some funny moments where like Christian and I were like starting to overlap each other at one point. We're saying like, person A is out of this challenge, person B is out of this challenge, because I thought I was initially saying it, and then Christian started saying parts of it, and I went back to saying it, and I'm like, okay, so which one of us is saying it? Which I thought was kind of funny, but and the other part, I was mad that no one heard this. It was kind of a funny joke Colin made to me after he won individual immunity. I'm like, trying to tell him, like, I'm trying to be like Jeff Probst. I'm like kind of spinning him around. I'm like trying to put the necklace on. Like, I'm struggling because he's like half a foot taller than me. He's all like, oh, you doing anything back there? And I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, no, he was like, it was a joke like that along those terms. I don't remember word for word he said, but I joke and look back at him, I'm like, gross. Okay. And I just like put the necklace on him.
I don't know if you needed to share that, but okay.
No, it was just a funny moment. Like Colin, Colin's someone who can definitely make people laugh. And I think that moment too, it definitely also exemplifies like a good part of his social game.
Yeah.
With how he can just make people laugh and feel good. And I think that is definitely a big benefit to his game, and definitely him having individual immunity gives him more time to do that. So I just wanted to share that. I did think that was a very funny moment. I was kind of sad that no one heard it because that made me laugh so hard. And that's why if you watch, I put the necklace on him and I just like, I'm almost like breaking my little Jeff Probst host character because like almost laughing. Like it was a stupid moment, but it was so funny.
Yeah,
Colin wins immunity, so that's the point of it.
Yeah, Colin won immunity, and then I believe the first conversation that was showed was Sam talking to Caitlin and Abby, kind of about me and Colin. And you guys are probably noticing this in the episode. It's hard to hear some of what they're saying just because we're in one big open room, so people are whispering a lot. So I'm including subtitles in the episode as best I can. So I'm just kind of trying to put like the gist, like the main thing they're talking about. And from what I got was kind of Sam was talking about why the round before went the way it did. But then I was kind of confused why he was saying, I believe he was saying like, yeah, like that me and Colin lied to the two girls, which we did. We didn't tell them that we were going Alejandro, but it's like, did he tell them that he was doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it's like he was like blaming us for why Alejandro went out when he did the exact same thing we did. I get the Miranda part more like about that part, but if you want to kind of touch on that conversation more, a little more than
all I was gonna say about the other part was that I do think that despite the events of this episode in particular, I do think that it was a smart move on Dolphin Sam to kind of throw you two under the bus and claim, at least for his game, it was a smart move for him because he realized that, like, I think he realized, like, they were starting to get annoyed with him for sure for flipping on Alejandro. And I think he was just trying to do whatever he could to cover his own ass at that point,
right.
which,
fair
enough, like, I mean, from personal experience playing so many times, when you're in the early game, you need to just establish bonds, connections, and you never want to be seen as the bad guy early on. If you're seen as the annoying guy, usually me, or if you're seen as like the bad guy, people do not want anything to do with you. And so I think him trying to shift the blame and trying to essentially villainize other people for something that the minority was upset about.
Yeah.
Something happens with idols, then great. They're not he's not the target, which, you know, I do think there was some, I don't know, because it's like him immediately going after you and Colin. I mean, there was like two things about it, because obviously you two are big names strategically, like you do to both have great reputations for playing phenomenal games, but it's also, there's like part of it could have been a shield he could have used later on potentially, or part of it could have been that, but
we could kind of save that part towards like the vote, like actual vote, because I'll share my thoughts on that too. I think we should mainly just keep going with the conversations that kind of happened before we got the tribal, and then obviously like what you're talking about, I would love to touch on that more once we get there. I think that conversation, I mean, that was kind of it, and I think Abby and Caitlin were just kind of like, like they would maybe be open to voting for me. They're saying Colin or me, but Colin won immunity. And they're saying that they're open to voting for me, but they want to see like where the majority was at.
Which again, I think it's
that's a good way to put it, I guess, but for them,
right. Which I mean, again, like playing only going with what the majority wants to do. I've been in that type of season, twit manner, as I like to jokingly call it. And even though it's so boring to watch and be involved with, it is technically the right move for them early on, especially in a group of only like 9 people at this point in the game. If they're not in the majority, guess what? There's less options for people they can pull in if they're lucky enough to get to 8. So it's like, it is boring to watch, but at the same time, it's like, if they're trying to make sure they get to the end, then they got to do what they got to do early on, establish those early connections, and then find a way then to get power later on. So
especially since they're on the wrong side of the vote before too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's like a bigger part. Like then you have even less time to do that. So it's like all about trying to make the game work in your favor, I would say. I did think it was interesting though that like literally moments later, Abby walks off, and then everyone saw like, let's go, Abby, we need to split up the girls. We didn't get
to that part yet.
We didn't? Oh, I thought we did. I thought you were about to. Sorry.
So before we get to that, then Matt went out for an interview, and there was the 8 of us remaining in a circle. This is before us talking about Abby, actually. That was shown at least. Because obviously, like, I put in pretty much everything that was filmed, but obviously we can't get every single conversation. But so pretty much we were all in a huddle, and I don't know who brought it up first, because I think it's kind of hard to hear, but I think Miranda might have said, like, just go, someone's not here right now. Obviously going towards Matt, those girls and Miranda and the girls and Colin obviously did not like how Matt was playing the game at all. I thought it was funny. It didn't affect me at all, but everyone's saying we should just go Matt. I don't like how he threw the cup, which I don't think that should be a reason why you vote somebody off, but you don't know people in their point of view. I get it. And then he was definitely being a little cocky during other parts of it too. So everyone's like, we should just go Matt. Like, yeah, let's just all do it. And everyone's like, yeah. And it's like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not going Matt. Probably not. But everybody else, it seemed like it, besides Sam and Chris, obviously. And then I think we kind of sneak off, and you can kind of touch into what you were saying.
Yeah, I do just want to touch on what Matt was doing when you guys were having this giant group think talk about going for Matt, that Matt has this funny confessional where he's all like, it's a season of Matt. I'm the big dog here. I'm the dog. And then like Christian made a comment saying like, so you're essentially Rich Dog. And me and Christian were dying at that point. And like every piece of content we've gotten from Matt so far is just like, it's so great to watch, you know? And it really is just like entertaining overall to see him actually start to get a leg up. Because I feel like in past seasons, he's been someone who just was like trying to be a big player, but then just got taken out. And I feel like so far as of the second episode, you almost start to question if this is finally going to be his big break. If this is really going to finally be like the time where he really makes a name for himself in this game, you know? Like, and just so far, he's called himself the big dog. We'll have to see if his bite matches his bark. So,
I like that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So so then it wasn't shown. You can't really make out what they're saying, but I've got some insight from some people like after it was filmed and stuff. And when Sam and Chris kind of went off to the side, I got this from Chris was that after the whole Matt thing kind of just happened, they were discussing about going for me, and at this point, Matt just recently told them that he had a second idol. So they just all hear that everyone wants to go for Matt, and it's like, well, we need to do something else because Matt has an idol. So I don't know what they all said, but pretty much right then and there, they're kind of talking about going for me. And then I think then it kind of became Matt kind of talking to Miranda and Colin and me about maybe going Abby, breaking up the girls, which I was cool with at that point. Because in my mind, personally, I wasn't looking to go for any of the big-time returnees yet. I know there's only 10 people. There's only 9 left, so it's kind of like you kind of have to probably sooner rather than later. But
right.
In my mind, I'm a huge threat there. Everyone knows who I am pretty much just because I do this stuff. Regardless if they know me they don't probably know me as a player, which is fine. They know me more because I run it and host it and do all this every season. So in my mind, it's like as soon as I get like Colin or one of these other 3 guys out, especially Matt, that's like really loud and like clearly like on everyone's radar, it's going to put the target even bigger on me and everyone's going to look at me. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to turn on them that quick. I really didn't plan on personally going for them anytime soon at that point. Maybe Colin and Miranda soon, actually. But those 3 guys I wasn't looking at that point. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with the girl if that's what they want to do. And then you see kind of Matt and Colin just kind of confirm like, yeah, let's go Abby, even though they're lying both to each other pretty much. But I mean, Matt did seem like Matt 100% at that point was going Abby. You saw it in his interview too. So Colin was definitely, I think, not sure what he was doing at that point, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of unique conversations where I feel like it's at that point in time where it really starts to shift from Matt more so towards, is it going to be Devin or Abby receiving the backup votes or something? And it's kind of like, I'm not sure. I don't remember there being a full on, unless I missed it or forgot or I'm forgetting it, if there was a scene where Abby, where she's not, because I don't think she was aware that she was the backup vote, essentially, was she?
Yeah, I mean, so there wasn't, like I said in the last podcast me and Richie did, we only had 8 minutes to talk after the challenge. So it was really quick. Not everyone even got a confessional outside. So it went really quick. And there was some stuff I think that happened whispering people's ears at Tribal and then right before it, which I edited the way so that you wouldn't find out about it till after the vote happened just to make it more dramatic. So I think the conversation between Sam and Matt's the only other conversation that happens, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think there was like a post, some scene like at one point it was like, oh, this was a conversation took before Tribal, but we're showing you it like after some of the votes have been read or something like that. Which, do we want to touch on that now, or do we want to wait till we get to Tribal to talk about that scene? Or,
I think we can touch on it after Tribal probably, right? Because
okay.
I guess we'll just go in order of the episode. But that part was right before Tribal. But yeah, I mean, we go to Tribal. I'll go from my point of view first, and then you obviously can add into it, Richie.
Yeah.
So I guess right before Tribal for me, actually, I'll include was that wasn't filmed was Sam kind of told me that I heard Matt has an idol. I'm like, really? Another one? Like, I didn't know he did. And he's like, is everyone going mad? I'm like, I think they all are. I said, I honestly don't really want to. And he's like, this is just between Sam and I, which Sam already told this to Chris. And you'll see, and he always told it to Matt, that we'll actually include like that conversation with Sam and Matt. I think we kind of have to before a tribal. So Sam's kind of telling me that Matt is an idol, and it's just between me and Sam saying, I think we should put votes on Abby in case Matt plays an idol and then Abby goes home at least. And if Matt doesn't have an idol and doesn't play it, then he's going to go home. So Sam was like saying to me like he might have one, like he wasn't for sure. Doesn't know if Matt's telling the truth, even though he knew Matt was telling the truth. So that was the plan. I was like, I'm cool with that. I was probably going Abby regardless because that's what I thought other people were going to do. Chris kind of got worried. He told me that Miranda and Colin are maybe going to go Abby. So they were kind of worried, like, oh, man, the majority actually might be on Abby instead of me, which obviously didn't end up happening. And then, obviously, the conversation you see right after this happened right before Tribal, but in the episode, I showed it after the votes were read to make it more dramatic. But Sam just kind of confronts Matt and says, look, if you have an idol, you need to play it. People are coming for you. And Matt said, even Devin and Colin and them? And he said, yeah, even though I wasn't. I mean, I said in that group I was, but to Sam I wasn't. And Sam said, we should vote out Devin. Let's do it. This is the time to do it. And you can kind of see in Matt's face, he's like surprised, and he's like I'll play my idol, like I'll save myself, but then it kind of gets cut off, but he's saying like, what about those girls though? I really want to break them up. So Matt's still like kind of fighting, I think, at that point to break up the girls. Where Sam's pushing for me heavily, obviously. So that was kind of all that was shown with conversation wise. And then we go to Tribal.
Yeah. So I think you said a lot of it already, what happened on Tribal, but I do want to touch on the fact that there was a lot of whispering on Tribal. I think up to this point, this is one of the biggest seasons where that's a common theme up to this second episode so far. Obviously very early to say it, but like where there's a lot of whispering and talking constantly at Tribal Council, no matter who's at risk, who has immunity, blah, 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 blah. Most seasons, I feel like, at least especially the ones I've been involved with, there's maybe little whispers, but like every 5 seconds, it's like, who's this, who's blah, 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 blah. And it's like back and forth, you know? And it's like, I think at one point, I was trying to get people to start thinking, like, what are people really saying in the game? And I think if I remember correctly, there was a conversation about dolphins, or someone tried to claim a conversation about dolphins. And I'm like, I think I turned to Abby and I was like, do you think they're really talking about dolphins?
No, what happened was me and Sam were talking to each other. And actually, I don't even think we were talking game. Actually, no, we were. I said to Sam, we need to start thinking about Miranda or Colin soon because they're challenge threats. Like I said that to Sam and he's like, yeah, I agree. And then you said, oh, I think you or Chris said, what are you guys talking about? And then I said, because Sam had a Miami Dolphins jersey, and I was like, oh, we're talking about the player in his jersey. And then we're all laughing and stuff. And then I said, no, actually, we were talking about the game. It's really tough vote or whatever. And then you're like, Abby, do you really think they're talking about Dolphins? I'm like, I just said we weren't.
Well, I mean, I forgot the joke I had with this. It's like the thing from Archer where it's like, shit, I had something for this. But yeah, no, there was a lot of whispering at Tribal, and I just thought it was really interesting. And then there's like side stuff going on, side conversations here and there, even at Tribal. And then even like as some of the votes are coming in, people seem sure, some people seem unsure of their vote, you know, or at least I felt like some people were a little unsure. There's one specific one that I think we'll get to after we do the big reveal of who the second person voted out was. But you know, we get to, unless something else you want to say about the main Tribal Council and like the voting before I get to the vote reveal.
No, I mean, like I said, the only thing I said Tribal was to say, I'm like, oh, we should look at going for Colin or Miranda, and then obviously some other whispering was happening that I'll add in once we reveal who the votes, so you can go into that.
So first comes up with, I come back out to do my first vote reveal in about almost 3 years. Damn, thank God I'm not a math major.
First one for Wisconsin, though, right? First one for ours.
Wisconsin one, yeah. First Wisconsin one. And I'm like, if anyone's hitting me now and you want to play, now's the time to do so. Matt gets up, pulls out his shoe. I'm like, Matt, your shoe does not count. It was some joke like that. Obviously, I knew he had the idol in there and he was playing it, but like, I'm like, you know what? I'll just little funny part. But then like, he like literally the shoe I think almost like it was like barely like half foot away. I thought it was like it came really close to me almost. I'm like, okay, I do not want to like touch that. But he plays the idol, and he's all like, I'm playing this for me. It's a season of me. It was something I forgot if he said that, but I might as well put that in because he basically says that every other sentence. And you know, he negates votes against himself. Devin, Abby, Devin. Second person voted out, Survivor Wisconsin, One World. Devin, I'm trying to like angle it correctly on my end. I don't know if
Other
that's
way.
Yeah, other way. Okay. On my end, you're the other way. So
yeah. So obviously, I was pretty upset and pretty sad. I do think it was still a dumb move, personally. I get like I'm a huge target. Like it's a big move to get me out. And like I already said kind of earlier, I just thought that maybe they don't think they are perceived as such big threats because the other people that are playing are newbies. But in my eyes, I'm like the biggest threat there, obviously, me or Colin. As soon as you get one of us out, then they're going to all look at you, you know, and they still, at that point, I mean, I'm out. There's 8 people left. They still would have a 5, you know, they still have a 5-3 advantage on them, in my opinion, you know. So it's like, that's right. I had no clue at all. I was going home. I didn't hear my name or anything. It sucked because I felt really loose, and you know, Hunter kind of called me out for it, and I do agree with some of it. But last time I played in Battle Royale, I definitely felt really paranoid throughout the whole game, and this time I didn't at all because I was just kind of like, whatever, like who cares what happens? And obviously, I didn't feel that way after I got out. I'm still on edge of extinction though. You'll see me fighting to get back in the game, so don't forget about that stuff. So, so me and Alejandro are on edge of extinction now, but. Yeah, I had no clue. And even when Matt played his idol, I'm like, oh, Abby's going to go home here. As soon as I saw one name for me, I'm like, they're going for me. I was like, I just had a feeling. And, yeah, I was pretty pissed. And, like I already said why I thought it was a dumb move. Obviously, you're going to say that because it's yourself. But I just know, like, me staying in the game, like, I was not going to probably do great in challenges. And when they see it later back, I mean, I had none of them, Chris, Matt, or Sam, on my radar at all to get out at all at that point. Would I eventually have turned on them? And if I come back in the game, would I? Maybe. But I wasn't ready to do it yet. I actually, you know, talked to Chris too more recently about stuff that wasn't shown and kind of his thinking behind going for me because, you know, I didn't ask him. He just kind of told me himself, which was nice. But you know, it was definitely a vote led by Sam mainly. Sam wanted me or Colin out, and I have it confirmed that if Colin doesn't win immunity there, they go for him, not me. So I would have still been in the game.
Okay, well, that's actually one of the questions I was actually going to ask you in a little bit, actually. So.
Sorry. But yeah, that was confirmed. I mean, you saw it in the first episode too, right before Tribal. Sam was trying to make a late push to go for Colin, and Sam, Matt, and Chris thought about it, but it was just so last second. They didn't think they could get enough people. They ended up getting, you know, they got me out. You know, it was tough. If Matt doesn't play his idol, there's a tie, you know, between me and Matt. And I actually think I would have stayed because me and Matt don't vote. There's 7 people that vote. It would have been Sam, Chris, and Abby probably voting for me again. And then I would think Colin, Miranda, Caitlin, and Julia probably would have voted for Matt. And I'm still in the game. But, yeah.
Right. It's like shoulda, woulda, coulda. I did the same exact thing after Wisconsin won, actually, when I was voted out in a 4-3-1. Thanks, Vanessa. Yeah, and then if Vanessa would have voted me, I think I could have stayed. So, like, that reminded me of that. I even feel like a lot of your exit almost is very reminiscent of, like, I don't want to, like, sound narcissistic by saying that. They reminded me a lot of my exit in Evolution, where, like, after you get voted off, you have this, like, big reflection and you're at one of your little, like, redemption, edge of extinction confessionals, and you're just kind of sitting there thinking out loud, and it was almost reminiscent of that. And I actually I thought it was really cool to hear a lot more of like inner thoughts where you're thinking about the game, what you're hoping to get out of the game going forward at that point. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of like, it was a classic Survivor blindside. Like, I'm surprised we didn't put the little hashtag blindside at the bottom. Like legit, like it was like a fun episode. I was like telling people that I was really sad that you did get voted off in the second episode, because I was like, you know what I mean? Like it was definitely kind of sad, like, so
Yeah, so I mean, also I was gonna add that Chris kind of told me that from what he saw and kind of heard from Sam and Matt, especially Sam, they were really worried I was more with Miranda and Colin and the girls than them, which obviously you see in all my confessionals I wasn't. I mean, if push comes to shove, would I vote them three out before Colin? Maybe, probably. But past that, I don't. I was open to going for Miranda next if I had to. Obviously, I was open to going for any of the girls. So a little bit of miscommunication, maybe. Maybe if there was more time, I could have made something happen. But the only thing I look back at now, that the only really thing that could have saved me there was Colin not winning immunity. Then he goes out pretty much. So
right.
it was tough. Last thing I'll say before maybe you have questions for me is just,
I do.
it was definitely, I was really, really pissed off and frustrated and waited this long to play. And it's like, I feel like I didn't even really get to play. And, that's why I was hoping maybe there would be more people. But Christian put it a good way. He's like, look at it. It's like you're the second person out of the merge because kind of skip that tribe start with more people. So it was tough. I'm like, you're really not even going to, they just clearly didn't want me to get a footing in the game, which I get that part, but just think it could have been a big shield. So.
Right. Like I mean, coming from someone that dedicates himself as the king of the second boot club, like depending on how your Edge of Extinction run goes for you, like if something happens with that, the king of the second boot club will welcome you if Extinction doesn't go well for you. Jokes aside, yeah, like it was definitely something that I did kind of think of to overall just like shields and left and right. Well, obviously you need shields. You don't want to take them too far in the game. I feel like the way I initially had seen it was that it was kind of like questioning about your strategic level of play. Whereas obviously you are seen as one of the best who have never won the game in the past, in Whitewater at least, which I don't want to give you that title because you're one of, I would say, I was even given that title at one point, but like, does it really age that well? I don't know. I started thinking of that meme with the guy in the Shakespeare outfit. Didn't age well for me, but like, obviously, it's like I like to think from what I saw, at least, it was more so about your level of play and how big of a strategic player you are and how intense of a player you are, and definitely the dedication that you put into it is definitely something that's not just appreciated by. It's not just appreciated, but it's definitely like beloved by a lot of people. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way in this game. It definitely puts a bit of a target if the more you know the game and the bigger of a player or I shouldn't say player, but bigger like name within it, I guess. I mean, if it's any consolation, I still think you did a lot better in your 2 episodes so far than I did. If that's any consolation, like you actually had a better chance to stay than I did my last few times. I think that's all I have for right now, because I do have some questions for you though.
Yeah,
it's actually fun, it reminds me of Cabin Fever, except I get to ask you the questions now. So my first question for you, obviously, regarding obviously Alejandro was a vote that I feel like obviously you were not 100% on. You kind of did it because that's where a lot of people were already going at, and I think you kind of saw not many people were flipping no matter who said what. If you found a way, do you think that if you found a way to keep Alejandro, do you think that you do get blindsided here, or do you think you still have a lot more flexibility and maneuverability in the game?
I mean, the way it went with Abby voting against me obviously would have been better to keep Alejandro. But at the same time, does he just go Matt that round and then I'm still out? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I still would have went out because the idol play. So Alejandro, I wish I would have kept just because I had another ally. But, I mean, even if I get him on, well, I guess if I got him on board to vote Abby, no, it still would have been 3-2. So, honestly, I don't know if it would have really affected if I go out or not, because odds are he probably would have done Abby with me or Matt with the rest of them, and Matt still would have played his idol, and I still would have went out. So, yeah, I wish he would have stayed over Abby for sure, but Abby flipping honestly wasn't the reason I went out. It was just the idol more than anything.
So with obviously, you getting out early. There's a lot of talks about like shoulda, woulda, coulda in regards to getting voted out and sent to extinction early on. Say you do stay on and you don't get voted off, like what's kind of your game plan from there if you're able to find a way? Like hypothetically, say the votes go on Abby instead of you. How do you kind of handle it from there? Like, what do you do going forward? Like, what was kind of your ideal plans going forward?
So I wasn't trying to think too far ahead, and I took that out of Chris's book, not Christian, but Chris. But my goal is to just kind of like the first 2 or 3 rounds, like kind of just go for like, some newbies that need to earn their stripes a bit. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to go to work. So that next vote, I said it to Sam. I said, I think we need to look at Miranda or Colin. So I would have been open to going for one of them next, personally. Obviously, that would have been a bad game move for me because Colin and Miranda clearly had my back. But honestly, I feel like Miranda might have had it more than Colin's since Colin mentioned my name in the first episode. But it was kind of weird with me and Colin because we were trying not to look like we were too close together. Like, we didn't really talk about it, but we were trying not to, kind of. But, yeah, my game plan, like I said, probably would have tried to go for Miranda or Colin next. And then after that, it's really hard to say. I really wanted to play with Matt, mostly out of everybody besides Colin. I would have definitely rode it with Matt. The way he was playing so aggressively, that's a huge shield for me even because everybody wants him out, clearly. They went for him 2 rounds in a row. I think I probably would have tried to go out of those 3 guys. I think I would have tried to get Chris out before Sam just because he's so sneaky and like no one's going to think of him. So it would have been tricky it would have been needed to balance some girls to go with me to maybe make a move like that. Or I really was going to need to find an idol or something like that. So, I think I would have turned it up. I would have had to. Do I think I would have played it cool another round? Probably, but I would have been open to getting Miranda or Colin out, if it came to that. But we'll see what twist happens next that I'm not going to say that would maybe be hard to say as well, so.
Right. So, we can definitely say a small little teaser like we did in last week's recap later on. But another question I have for you. So, if you think, because obviously you already vocally said numerous times you were more than willing to cut Miranda and Colin if and when it was necessary. Do you think if you would have put the target on Miranda, do you think that saves you this round, or do you think they still gone for you and Abby over her?
I think they still go for me. Yeah, I think they still go for me, to be honest. Like, it sounded like they were pretty set on it being me or Colin's immunity. They're going for me. Maybe from the jump, like right after that challenge, I say Miranda's name. Maybe that gets their wheels turning, but then they also might be like, oh, Devin's trying to make a move right away. Like, that's dangerous. That's why I was really trying not to do too much early on. It was really letting it kind of just fall where it was. Obviously, I shared my opinion, but I wasn't like, we have to do this. Like, come on. Which I sometimes do, but I didn't get to that level yet. I felt like I couldn't do that. So I kind of had to let other people take the charge a bit. And obviously that backfired on me. I should have maybe taken the charge more. Only thing I could have done differently was, if I would literally have been Colin not winning that immunity, he probably goes out, or somehow I kind of get the votes off Matt and get some people to go with me for Abby or somebody else, and then Matt wastes his idol and that person goes out. Obviously, that's just woulda, shoulda, coulda. But
right,
again, just sucked. I was so excited to play, and I felt like it was going good for me. And obviously, I knew my name was probably getting brought up here and there, but it's just like I felt like I didn't even get to play. And another thing I'll say, which I said to all of them, was, I just thought there was like a level of respect between other attorneys. Like, we're clearly like outed a bit here. I didn't go around saying, oh my gosh, Colin won, Sam won. I was like, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I should have. That's one regret.
Who knows what you could have done? I think it could have been interesting if you threw them out there, be like, you know what?
Yeah, because it's like, again, this happens and I get it. But like when I played last time, there's 2 winners with me last time and people are still going for me over them. Granted, they were going to go Colin before me, which I get for sure. He won. He's a great player. But again, it's like I wasn't going to finger point right away and be like, yeah, they both won the game. I just thought there's like a level of respect between their attorneys. Like we should kind of look out for each other in like the first couple rounds. Not like we talked about it, but I just thought, I guess I should have not expected that respect, I guess. I guess it's respect that they wanted to get me out early, but I just thought it was a little disrespectful. They didn't even give me a chance to play at all, especially when I get it too if they hear me from somebody else that I said one of their names, but I didn't. I mean, I did say Matt with everybody else, but it's not like I said, yeah, let's do it. I was kind of yeah, that wasn't what I really wanted to do. So it sucks. I mean, do I think I could have won if I stayed in that game at that point? Obviously, I can still come back. Probably not, honestly, but who knows?
Right. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that do kind of play in your head after the game ends. The season ends overall, or even if you're sent to Edge of Extinction, Redemption Island, you start thinking what if I did this? What if I did that? And that actually is a great transition into my next question, because this is my second to last question I have for you. Obviously, this is a bit more of a, you can say whatever you want with this one, because obviously we don't want to say too much about future episodes, but obviously you're on the Edge of Extinction right now. And in past seasons, we've seen when there's something like Redemption Island or Edge of Extinction, some people, it's been seen or heard that some people will try to play the game from beyond the game, where people try to think of plans of what we're gonna do. It's a big example was in Evolution. I was on Redemption Island trying to talk to people and be hey, let's exchange info, let's make a game plan so that whoever goes back in, we know what's going on and we know who the real threats are, so we can guarantee ourselves the best chance going back in. Is there anything that you think you want to say regarding you playing from beyond the game at that point, or is there that won't be spoiling anything, or?
It might be a little bit, but not really. But I honestly don't think it was recorded, so I'll just say it because it wasn't recorded. But I mean, I go in with Alejandro, and I'm pretty pissed off, and I'm obviously venting to him this sucks. Feel like I didn't really get a chance. It's pathetic. I wasn't going for any of those guys. I get there, I'm a big target. They think I'm with other people more, which I didn't know that in the moment.
Right.
But it's I just thought it didn't make sense to me, and it really still doesn't. I get it. I mean, I get it. I'm a big threat, whatever. But and then I just straight up told Alejandro, pretty much from the jump, was hey man, the first thing I said to him was, hey man, I did vote for you last round. Sorry. And I told him who all voted for him, and he was pissed about it. He definitely was pretty mad. He's really? They went for me? I'm yeah. Sorry, man. I really regret it. So, yeah, I mean, I'll say everyone that comes on the edge while I'm on the edge as well, I share everything that I knew, who voted for who, trying to figure out who voted for who in certain rounds. I know there's one conversation that was recorded pretty soon with the next person out with me and Alejandro that you guys will probably see in the next episode, I think. So you'll hear more of that. But yeah, obviously I was venting a lot. I was mad that I got out, and then kind of trying to solve why are they doing that, and kind of trying to paint some targets on people since I'm already a big target. I'm let's get it off me a little bit. So I guess I was playing a little bit, but it was more I was just really pissed off and just venting and just saying why it was a dumb move.
Right, and I definitely think that's really great to do, and it's even fun to see as well when it does happen, because of the fact that there's a lot of times I feel I especially from how many times I played, where some people, when they're out, they just kind of give up. They're thinking oh, I'm done. I don't know what else to do. And it's you could try playing from beyond the game. You might actually have an impact on it. So I definitely like seeing that happen. I am excited to see that little clip from later on when it does come up, because I think it'll be really interesting to watch. The last question I do have for you, obviously you were talking a lot about potentials of possibility of probably not playing again at the time of it. This is more of a hypothetical in this situation. Say you do play again, but it's your dream theme, maybe some of your dream people, kind of what, do you want to give a little insight to what that would be if you do play again, what your dream season would end up looking like when we have this episode all about you guaranteed, because we don't know what's happening with Edge of Extinction yet. So this is your guaranteed little moment here.
Are you saying who I'd want to play in it, or how I would play, or I guess
kind of what would the theme be of that dream season you would want to play on the most? What would be your ideal theme, maybe ideal people you'd want to play with?
I mean, I think it clearly has to be a lot of other bigger threats, bigger time players. I don't know, there's only maybe one or two or three people that are even though I will say I do think there's probably I don't know. There's a good amount of players that I think are better than me that are actually better at the game. But like threat level wise, I only think there's like 2 or 3 personally. And I think it's Christian. I think it's maybe Cody, and it's definitely Hunter at this point. So I don't know if any of them would even play again. So that's the thing.
Oh, you wouldn't want to play with me, Devin?
I didn't say I didn't want to play with you. I just said I think those are like the biggest threat levels. You're probably right below that, but
I am.
You know what I mean? So it would need to be some bigger threat levels, and it doesn't need to be them necessarily. It someone like you it would help having you on there. Maybe I would work with you, maybe I wouldn't. Not going to reveal that. I'm not going to speak too much on it since anything I do is going to hurt me, to be honest. At this point, more.
Right.
But I'll say this: I mean, if I do play again, there will be no quiet Devin. It will be all guns a-blazing. I do forgive, but I don't forget. So I do think you'll see me again. I'm definitely hungry to play again because I felt like I didn't even get to play. And I did it, and I did enjoy it. Like I was having fun a lot. And, not to get too personal, but I had, some like personal anxiety issues in a bit for the last like year or two, a little bit for myself, which I never had before. So that was kind of the reason why I was kind of not wanting to play again, and been really good this year in the last couple of months. So I thought it was a good time for me to do it, and I'm having a really good year personally. So I think that was part of why I was so upset I got out too, because I'm like, come on, I was in a really good headspace, felt good, was enjoying it, but I guess I'm just hungry for some more. And like a rich dog, and like Matt, who thinks he's a rich dog, there's always meat left on the bone for Devin.
I love to hear that. Like, honestly, like, for those people who don't remember, there were some Survivor seasons the last few years which our probes kept talking about the monster in the game. Like, the monster is the fuel to play again. Like, why do you think I came back 7 times? Why I'm going to keep coming back no matter what? Like, if I get a chance to play, I'm going to go and do it. I'm glad to hear that you're still on board for hopefully at least a few more times in the future, at minimum, hopefully. But yeah, honestly, that is really great to hear.
I mean, I think my only reason I probably wouldn't play would be like personally, like, and again, like, this isn't your fault, like I said already, because you guys jumped in so late, but it's got to be more than 10 people. That's like probably my only requirement. And I don't really want to. I wouldn't want to go in with all newbies, like, and just like me. I don't think that would happen. But it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, maybe they don't know me for it, but it's like that might just be a cakewalk, which I don't want to do. You know what I mean? So I still feel like I have to prove myself a little bit because it's been so while since I played, and I literally really didn't do anything in the game. I mean, definitely was leaving hints, planting seeds a little bit, but again, I felt like I didn't get to play. I'm hungry for more. I definitely be open to playing again. I don't know how many more times. I don't know when, but
just play however many times you want. That's what I do.
Huh?
I was joking. So just play however many more times you can. That's what I do. That's why I say yes almost every time.
Yeah, because you don't know how many more there'll be and everything. So it's tough to get people. But yeah, I mean, dream season. To end your question, sorry. I mean, it just had to be a dream season. Would have to be some players like close to my level threat. There's a couple people I'd like to play with, but again, I'm honestly kind of open to whatever at this point. So yeah, I mean, as long as it's not only 10 people, that I'd probably be open to it.
It's really great to hear.
And maybe wait a season or two too.
Now, why do you think I did that? So. Yeah, well, I mean, it was really so great to have you on so far in the season. We still get more content from you, though. So that'll be really fun to look forward to.
Yeah, you'll see me more. I'll just say, I'll give a little hint. I mean, just get ready for the next tribal council in my entrance. That's all I'll say. Be scared.
Wait to hear that. That'll be really fun to see.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add on to this, or?
Last thing I'll say was, obviously, like, I was very mad when I got out, and this kind of goes to everybody, and I hope no one took it personal. I didn't say anything really too bad to everybody. Was, I was trying to be respectful as much as I could, but I definitely was very upset just because I felt like I didn't get a fair shot. But it's no hard feelings. It is what it is. It is a game. Just thought there was a little more respect through the attorneys, but I guess not. So I'll remember that. But, it's going to be a good season. I'm not done yet. I'll have a chance to come back in the game. You'll see probably some conversation with me as a jury member before the Edge of Extinction Challenge. And at Edge of Extinction talking to other players that are out. So definitely keep watching, guys. It's a good season. I'm excited to kind of edit the next couple episodes and stuff because there's a lot of stuff I didn't get to see because I was on Edge of Extinction. So I'm excited about that. And episode 3 will be Tuesday. That's the last thing I'll say, and then we can wrap it up. And that's the last thing I'll say, though. Sucks I got out. I was heartbroken, very upset, but it is a game, and you got to move on. And there's really nothing for me to learn on it other than I'm not trusting anybody ever again.
Well, Devin, I'm glad we had you on. Thanks for coming on for this.
Of course.
A little teaser I want to say. Next week, not anything big, but a big twist will shake things up next week, and it can lead to big chaos at Tribal Council.
I love it. That will be in the bio for episode 3. So last thing I'll say now, just touch on, the episodes and stuff. So it's likely going to be every Tuesday now, every episode. So episode 3 will be this Tuesday. So definitely tune in. And Richie and myself will still be doing this pretty much after every episode. We'll probably be doing a live stream. It's just easier for me. I think it worked well, hopefully. So definitely tune in after you watch it. Watch this for more in-depth breakdown. And then obviously this one, you got to see the person that got out. So that's good to see. Maybe we'll try to do that with some other eliminations. I'm not really sure what the plan will be with that. But, yeah, it should be pretty much every Tuesday from here on out. Finale might be on like a Sunday night, kind of like how the real show used to do it back in the day. I think would be cool. So it's probably going to be every Tuesday now. Probably going to be 7 or 8 episodes. So, yeah, tune in Tuesday for episode 3. Richie said what to expect, and I appreciate you guys watching, and definitely stay tuned. There's a lot to come in this season. So be seated and get that popcorn ready.
Get that popcorn ready.
Any last words, Rich Dog?
Nothing else I could think of. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys enjoy it so far. Don't want to be the like and subscribe guy, but definitely like our videos, subscribe to our channel to see more what happens.
Yeah, I mean, follow, subscribe to this YouTube channel, obviously, and then follow our Instagram, idol.identifiers, for updates when things are happening. We have, voting polls, cool pictures on there and stuff throughout the season. So definitely stay tuned, and appreciate you, Richie. We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you guys next time.